too cloud. Hi, and welcome to Real Chats with Real Student Athletes. So my name is Brett Ashley Davis, and I'm a mental performance coach. And alongside me right here is Paola Carlesso, and she is a Rider University swimming and diving team member. So bringing you on today, Paola, kind of wanted to just talk to you about your experience with mental performance coaching. But first, I just want to give a little bit of a background and information on you. So you started swimming when you were 4 years old. And then from there, you turned a little bit more competitive and serious at the age of 10. And by the time you were 15 and 16, you became part of the Venezuelan junior national swim team. You represented your country at the 2017 South American Swimming Championships. And then a couple years later, you moved from your home country, Venezuela, to Colombia and started working on the recruiting process. And now you are a sophomore and you represent Rider University swimming and diving team. So congratulations on all of that. That's very, very exciting. So some of people may not know, but we work together. So you're one of my student employees at the Student Recreation Center. So in the summer, we were talking about mental performance coaching, starting my new business, and it just so happened that you've worked with a mental performance coach in the past. So can you just talk a little bit about that process of getting started with the mental performance coach and why?
Yeah, definitely. So the process of working in mental performance started for me back home with my home team, my club team. When we were like in season, my coach was really big on the mental aspect of our sport because we train so much, but sometimes we kind of like don't pay enough attention to that mental strength and mental preparation. So he knew this sports psychologist. So he brought him a couple times and we started like doing workshops as a team to work on our mental preparation before swim meets and for practices. So he would come and we would do activities together, but it was mostly like team oriented. Of course, we could like retrieve things that would serve us as individuals, but it was more of the how can the team perform best with their mentally ready. So then when I started like working on that and went on to move to a different country, I made the decision that I wanted to continue doing mental coaching, but more like focus on my particular situation and myself. So I started working with a sports psychologist, and we would have it started like not so frequent, so maybe like once every 2 weeks. But it was a person that I knew really closely, so we would see each other all the time, but we would like set apart times to have that mental coach athlete kind of relationship. And then it turned more frequent. We would meet once a week. And when the pandemic began, it was like even more time that we spent like talking. So instead of one time a week, we would do maybe like 2 or 3 times a week. And sometimes when I was doing like my dry land, I would do it with her so that she would kind of like see how I was doing mentally when I was training physically. So it was we kind of like adapted our sessions to what was going on. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that is so amazing that your coach brought in someone for the club team, and then you were able to understand the severity of mental performance and the importance of it when you're an athlete, and knowing that it's not just the physical component, but it's the mental component that really needs to be trained, right? So
Definitely.
can you, I mean, in your sessions, what you're doing is training. You're just training for the mental component. So I know through my Instagram and through my website, I try to provide as many skills and drills that students can use and kind of pick apart and use those tools on my social media. So would you be able to share with us maybe from probably the enormous toolbox of skills and drills that this mental performance coach gave you, can you kind of hone in on maybe one skill or drill that you can't live without, that maybe it's like your go-to?
Yeah, definitely. We worked on a lot of things. The issue or like the I don't know, the aspect of my mental performance that we focus on the most was I normally like put a lot of pressure on myself, and I love to do things like perfectly and everything to turn out as planned. And sadly, like life doesn't work that way and sports doesn't work that way either. So kind of like learning that there are things that I cannot control, and that's fine, like accept that, but make sure that I'm doing everything I can to control the things that I can, right? So the tool that I like the most and that I continue to use not only for swimming but for daily life is journaling. So we would do like before sessions, sometimes we would sit down and be like, where are you mentally now before the session? And when we finish the session, we repeated the same thing. So where are you now after we had this conversation and we did all these activities, right? So I would apply that to practice. So before practice, I would be like, today I had a good day. This happened at school. Um, I'm feeling good. And then after practice, maybe I had a great practice. So I would journal like, I felt this, and that. I did this amazing set. But sometimes it was the opposite way. I was not having such a great day, and I would be like, I went into training and I was not in the right mindset because of these reasons. And then after practice, if I didn't have a good practice, I would be like, this practice didn't go well because I wasn't mentally there. And then I would try to like list things that I could do better to not be in that state at practice again. And also like try to, when I wasn't having that bad practice, sometimes you're just not feeling it, right? So I would try to focus on my turns. And even though I wasn't doing great times in the set, I would try to do perfect turns, so at least I could not waste that practice. I knew I was trying to work on that thing that I could control, that were my turns, because I couldn't control the fact that I was not feeling good. So I try to like apply that to swimming, but also to, going into work or going into school, or when you have an important thing going on in your life. I think it's a very useful tool to have.
Yeah, and I think so. I just love when I'm talking to someone else, that has a mental performance coach, and I am, coaching athletes and teams and doing workshops. And I think it's so inspiring to hear you talk about the skills and drills that you use and I'm using the same, but we just might have different vocabulary on them, right? So like what I hear you saying is maybe you're doing a list of things that you can control and can't control, right? And so then focusing on the control list rather than focusing on the can't control list. And journaling, obviously everything that's in the clouds we want to put in the dirt, which means take it from your head and put it on paper. It's the best thing to see before and after. Writing down your thoughts, writing down your wins, writing down your success checklist, writing down things like I heard you say, doing a well, better, how. Things that you did well in practice, things that you can do better in practice, and then putting a strategic plan behind it and saying, how am I going to do those things better? So all the skills and drills that that are behind mental performance training, but they could be said so many different ways, but it's applied the same, which I think is fantastic. That's awesome. So I want to talk about, obviously, coming out of a pandemic. You had your first meet in 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. Almost 2 years last weekend. So can you talk to me about how you mentally prepared for your first swim meet after coming out of the pandemic?
Yeah, so it was, honestly, I was looking forward to it so much, not only because it was the first meet after a long time, after a pandemic, but also it was like what I consider my first college meet. And it was also a home meet, which was really exciting because we had been practicing and competing like with ourselves, but not with like other teams, not with the spectators. So just looking forward to the environment kind of like helped me, like be excited about it, not instead of nervous, just like being excited. And then before what I tried to do was kind of like apply those things that I have learned through mental performance to try to stay calm, because you don't know what to expect after such a long time. You kind of like try to set your mindset like everything's gonna go well, like don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. But in the back of your mind, you're like, wow, like I didn't remember how this felt because you hadn't done it in such a long time. So I tried to one of the things that I did was like I watched all races from past meets that I know like that I enjoyed and that I did well, to kind of like put myself in that positive mindset. Um, and then once the day came, I tried to do things like treat it as a normal day. Like don't make a big thing of it because it's just a swim meet. So I try to follow my routine, have a really good breakfast. That day we went to do like our wake up swim, and then we came back. I kind of like relaxed for a little bit, distracted myself, didn't think about the swimming. And then when it was time to go, we went to the pool, and I tried to like focus on the team aspect of it, because I think that's something that is so unique to college here in the US, like that team aspect and like the team cheer. That's my favorite part of the swim meet, like when we finish warm up and do our team cheer. So I try to like feed off of that positive energy, and knowing that everybody was as excited as I was made it like so much easier. And I just focused on doing the best I could in my races. And as soon as I got out of the pool, just like cheering on other people, kind of like helped me set aside whatever happened in the race and just focus on something else, which was like cheering on my teammates and having fun, because we miss that part, like the having fun. If you have fun, then everything will be fine. So I try to focus on that.
That's great. I mean, I think you hit on so many different points about mental performance training, and I just kind of want to highlight them for everyone so they understand that the things that they might already be doing is mental performance training, but maybe just having it come to the forefront and being a little bit more focused and aware of the things that they are doing to prepare themselves. So I love that you basically are watching a highlight reel of yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, and all pro athletes do it, in order to get in the right mindset. Yeah, why not watch like 2 to 3 5-minute highlight reels of yourself? Because it's it's what you're putting in your mind, right? Everything happens twice, once in your mind and then once in the physical actual setting that you're in. So if it's in your mind, then it's going to transfer out into real life. So I love that you did that, and I love that you turned your fear, and I don't want to say fear as like a bad thing, but like anxiousness, right? Your first swim meet, your first college swim meet, right? So you turned your fear into fuel. You used it as an excitement, because you wanted to be around your team. You wanted to have the spectators there and feel the home atmosphere of a home meet, which I think was amazing. So you did mental imagery, right? You turned your fear into fuel, which is amazing. And then you also were able to set routines and stick to your routine, right? So you have your day of a routine, and you say, I have my good breakfast, we have your wake up swim, and you go throughout your day. And I think the most important thing that you said, Paola, is that you didn't make the day feel like it was a special day. You made the day feel like it's an important day, right? It's an important day. But when you bring importance to something, it brings a different vibe than having it be a special day. Because important kind of change your mindset to say, when it's important, I have to do X, Y, and Z in order for it to go through. And when you think of it as a special day, you might not put that significance of maybe doing a success checklist or doing your routines. So I love that you were able to bring it to the forefront of an important day rather than a special day, because then that brings focus to what needs to get done throughout that day, the important checklist.
Yeah, definitely. And like sometimes when you think of it too much and try to make it feel like it's too special, then you're putting yourself like more pressure, because you're like, oh my God, this is my first meet. How is it gonna go? Like you're already nervous. So it's not worth it investing that energy into worrying about it. Like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen either you want it or not. So
Mhm.
you can only like control how you go about it. Like, I might go about it like, oh my god, I'm nervous, or oh my god, I'm so excited. And also, like, if you're nervous, it doesn't mean that you're scared. It means you care, and
Mhm.
that's a good thing. It's good that you care, because if not, it would be like, why are you doing this then if you don't care? So I try to see the nervous as I really care and I really want to do well. But it will be fine either way, As long as I do my best, it will be fine.
Exactly. And that is, I love it. And I think that you said it perfectly. And I think that when other student athletes, especially ones that are either at a club level team, right, not at the university level yet and in high school, really understanding that routines, having habits, behaviors, and the right mindset of going into a game, a match, a meet, whatever it may be, is exactly what you said. Don't don't think that being nervous is a bad thing. I love that you said being nervous is a good thing because you care, because you want to do well. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of it has to do with preparation, right? Being prepared for the day, being prepared for the season, having your thing to go to when you need something to go to, right? So what's
Yeah.
something to go to? And yours is mental performance. You really go in with the right mindset because you're using the tools in order to get you there, which I think
Yeah.
is
And
amazing.
once you use them repeatedly, it kind of like comes natural. One thing that I forgot to mention, and it's like a funny anecdote, but in when I was in my club team, but when I was like between 10 and 13, uh, my my coach, he would, on Saturdays we had morning practice, and he would make us tell us that we should shower before practice so that we were awake. And many people like complain about it, because who wants to shower when you have 6 a.m. practice on a Saturday? Like, you're already gonna get in the water. But the reason that he did that was because then when we went to swim meets, he would want us to get a cold shower before finals so that we were awake. And that way it wouldn't feel weird to do it the day of the meet, because you had already been doing it for a long time. So even now, he's no longer my coach. I'm in a different country, in a different team in the university, and I still take a cold shower before I have a meet. So it kind of like became a habit. And also, like, things that you do repeatedly give you like confidence and make you like stick to your routine. So if you know that works and that gets you in the right mindset, then just keep doing it, because it's getting you in the right place to compete.
Yeah,
So
I love that. So I think the importance of that, and a lot of the things that I talk about on my social media page or with my clients is your trigger, right? So your shower is your trigger
yeah.
to put you in the right mindset to get ready for your swim meet, your practice, whatever it may be. And like you said, it's repetitive. So when you get a cold shower, your mindset turns on to say, right now I'm a Division 1 swimmer, and this is where my feet are. I'm going to be where my feet are. I'm not going to think about anything else. I'm a Division 1 athlete right now, swimming for my team. That's my
Definitely.
trigger, my shower. And I think that that is extremely important. I love that your coach made you do that for practices, because like you said, it's not going to be weird when you do it for a game.
No.
It's not going to bring a different feel to you, because you know what it feels like, and it's triggering you to get into the mindset. Especially, I think we go back a little bit when you first were talking about your swim meet and the excitement when the team comes down and you guys do your cheer.
Yeah.
That's another trigger for you guys
Yeah.
to kind of set the tone. A lot of teams do that, right? Your pregame cheer, your pregame warm up, and then you go into some type of chant or some type of song or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. That again is a trigger for you to say, all right, I'm stepping into this role right now, and this is who I am, and I'm going to be where my feet are. So I love
Definitely.
that. Yeah. All right. So I want to close this out with you being able to share either a book, a podcast, a podcast, or a YouTube or something. Do you have something that's like your go-to that you listen to on a daily basis, or maybe before a meet, or something that either gets you pumped up or just in the right mindset?
Yeah. So with books, there are two books that I really enjoy. I love hearing about athletes' life stories because it's really inspiring and it's a way to like kind of like relate because you're not like athletes are not alone in what they go through. There are so many others out there that go through the same thing. So knowing that these people that you look up to and that have like been like role models for you kind of like feel the same way
Yeah.
makes you feel better about yourself and about what you're doing, and sometimes you realize like you're not lost, like you're doing the right thing. So there is this book by Elizabeth Beisel. She's Olympic swimmer for the United States, silver medalist, and her book is called Silver Lining. And I really enjoy her story because it's not the typical story of like, oh, everything is success and she won all these medals and that's why she's so famous. She goes into like the struggles or like how hard it was of coming second in the Olympics instead of first, and how like she learned to see the silver lining around her performance and kind of like accept that that was the best that she could do and that is okay, and that was a silver medal, but for that, that means gold to her, you know. So I really enjoy her story and the way she goes to narrate kind of like her whole journey
Mhm.
of how she got there, when she was there, and kind of like the afterward, because sometimes when either you have success or you don't, sometimes it's hard to deal with the aftermath, because if you have success you're like, where do I go next? And if you don't, it's like, what did I do wrong? Like, what do I need to get better at? So
Mhm.
I really enjoy her book. There is another book by Missy Franklin. She's another swimmer. Sorry,
Oh,
that
great.
is called Relentless. I think
Okay.
it's what it's called. Uh, and it's kind of like the same thing. It's kind of like an autobiography of herself and her telling her story. So I really love those two books. And then there is this podcast that is called Inside with Brett Hawk.
Okay.
He's a coach. He was the coach for Auburn swim
Oh,
team
okay.
when they were national champions. And he has had some of the most amazing swimmers in the world, you
Wow.
know. So he not only gets to like speak with them, but also he brings athletes from other countries, athletes from other teams, athletes that are retired. He also brings in coaches.
Wow.
um, so he kind of like goes in depth and asks them the questions that you would want to ask them if you had a conversation with them. So it's kind of cool to listen from their perspective, because sometimes what we see on TV or what we see in the media doesn't tell the full story. So
Right.
getting to listen from their perspective is really cool. And before swim meets, like those the podcast and the books, I try to do like on a daily basis. And before swim meets, I normally like listen to music, or when we're gonna have like a practice, I listen to music. And it depends. It's like I don't have like a go-to that I always listen to. I just try to listen to things that will put me in a good mood. You
Good.
know, like that will make me like be happy or like bring back good memories. That's what I try to listen to.
Awesome. Awesome. So last question. If if you were to give advice to a student looking to work with a mental performance coach, um, what would you say to them on the importance of working with a mental performance coach?
Yeah, so first of all, I would say like don't be scared, because I know like sometimes you're like, well, but if I'm meeting with a mental performance coach, like is there something wrong with me? And that's why like I need to embark on this journey on working on my mental health. No, it's okay. Like that's the point. Like we take care of our bodies, so we should take care of our minds and also train our minds, because we spend hours in the gym, hours in the pool, grinding. But it's not only our body that is being stressed; it's also our mind, because you're constantly like working like your whole self, not only your physical but also your mental. So
Mhm.
I would definitely say like don't be scared to open up and like explore what it is that you can do to be better as a whole, like as a, yeah, as a whole athlete, you know, like to be a complete athlete you need to be good physically, but you also need to be strong mentally,
Yeah.
because that's what will allow you to grind through those hard sessions that you put your body through.
Yeah.
And second of all, I would say like also enjoy the process, because it's kind of fun, like getting to know yourself a little bit more. uh on a physical aspect, like I try on one of the other things that I work with my mental performance coach was getting to know my body. We did that through mental coaching, like because that way I could like recognize when I was feeling good, when I wasn't feeling that good, and why. I also went through an injury, so kind of like we worked on what were the things that I could like identify that I was feeling that were like, oh, this is kind of like a red flag, so I should do this, or I should take care of my body this way.
Mhm.
um and also with my mind, sometimes you're feeling things and you're like, okay, this might mean that this is because this is why I'm feeling this way. So
Mhm.
you're able to like identify that before it turns into an issue, so
Right.
that way you can address it with enough time. So I would say, like, don't be scared to start working on your mental performance, and also like, enjoy the process of getting to know yourself more.
Yeah. I think that's great. And I think you really hit on it that, you shouldn't be scared. And I, th- I think what happens is people, student athletes kind of wait too long to start. Um, and then they get that feeling of, oh, there's something wrong with me. I need to start. When I think using mental performance as a tool, like you said, we're in the gym, we're training our bodies, we're doing yoga, we're doing strength training, we're running cardio. So we're doing all these things physically. And then we're spending probably 90% of the time doing that, and maybe 10% of the time doing mental performance, maybe that you don't know you're aware of it, that you're doing it. But if we bring more focus to that earlier on in your career as an athlete, then when you are in a situation where you are feeling either anxious or fearful, or um, things in your mind are just going down a negative path, you'll have those tools to get you back on the right track earlier rather than later in your career.
Definitely, because the earlier you start, the earlier you learn. And also when you're younger, I feel like it's easier to kind of like, how do you say, like, change your habits or adapt your habits, because once you get older, you kind of like have your own way of doing things, so
Mhm.
it's easier to improve or change your behavior when you're if you catch it early.
Mhm.
And then that will serve you for the rest of your life, basically. Like, we started when I started mental performance, I was doing it as a team, and then when I started doing it more like individual, those are things that I can apply now. And even if the journey of the mental performance coaching looks a little bit different now as a college athlete, it doesn't mean it's not there, and you can always like go back to the things that work for you.
Mhm.
And having those tools will also give you the opportunity and the skill to change the things that you need to change for the future. So I would definitely say, like, the earlier you start, the better.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just tell everyone watching and listening what events do you swim?
So I swim freestyle, butterfly, and I really love doing IM, but I have to improve my breaststroke to be able to do more of it. Uh, I think my favorite event at the moment is the 200 freestyle,
Okay.
but that's constantly changing. Now that I'm in college, I'm still trying to figure out what it is that I'm gonna be swimming. But that's okay. I am open and willing to explore, and also like swim for the team. I think that's something that I'm really looking forward to. That is not only like swimming for myself, so I'm swimming for the team. So whatever the team needs me to be swimming, I'll do my best and I'll be there for them. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm so glad that we got the chance today to just sit and talk about, being a real student athlete in college, coming from a club team, from another country, coming and doing the process here, and just really getting down to understand that mental performance coaching is not scary. There's nothing wrong with you. I think it's just being able to recognize that mental and physical go hand in hand. And there's no difference from doing it physical or mental training. You need them both. You know, and I think you laid out everything perfectly today, to help student athletes understand, you know, the importance of it, and not just hearing from a mental performance coach, right? I want the students to understand and hear from athletes themselves.
Definitely. No, I love this conversation. I think it was a really productive one.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Good luck on your next swim meet. When is that?
Next week,
All
next
right.
Saturday. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, good luck with everything. And I'm sure we'll be talking again because you're just so easy to talk to. And you you just said everything so beautifully. I'm so excited that you're my first real chat on Real Chats with Real Student Athletes.
Thank you. It was an honor to be the first one.
Thank you. All right. I'm just going to